Hello again, and today I'm going to do another little book review. Well, little book review. It's actually a huge book, but I'll do a little review. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Like the videos, spread the word. If you are a student, hopefully you'll be interested in this book. It will really help you. And if you're a teacher, I would recommend getting this book into your school library. The book is Politics UK, the 10th edition. 10th edition. I have a feeling, I don't know if it goes all the way back 30 years or so, but I'm fairly sure I had the first edition when I did my A-levels. Edited by Bill Jones, Philip Norton and Isabel Hurtner. I'm fairly sure it was Bill Jones that wrote the first edition way back when. Might be wrong. I'll have to check it out. Philip Norton, Lord Norton, I think now, is in the House of Lords and is a professor of politics, I think, at Hull University. And I've got a memory going back to 1994, European Parliament elections. It was the first elections I could vote in. And my school did a trip to Hull University where Philip Norton was going to present a debate with the candidates for the Lincolnshire and Humberside constituency, which was the constituency I lived in for those European elections. But it was the day, sadly, it was the day that Labour leader John Smith died. And we found out on the way. And when John Smith died, they cancelled all campaigning for those European elections. So the candidates couldn't debate. So we kind of went to Hull, and then I can't remember what happened the rest of the day, whether we just drove straight back again, or I'm not sure what we did. I can't remember. But it was a very strange time at that. It was May. It was May, and it wasn't long after, and I'm a big motor racing fan, it was just a few days after Ayrton Senna had died as well. So it was kind of like just a very odd time, and I'd never seen anyone die while I was watching motor racing, and I'd never known a political leader of one of our main parties die either. It's a very strange time to be studying politics and to be a motor racing fan. Anyway, Politics UK is, let's talk about something a bit happier. This is a really good book. Now, you will notice it's chunky. If you're a student, if I was 17, 18 or whatever and presented with this book, I think, oh my God, where on earth do I start? Well, one of the things you have to remember as a student is that you're not expected to read everything from beginning to end. That is a waste of your time. Research is strategic. You have to know why you're looking at something. You have to decide to read something. You have to decide whether it's worth your while. And that means that you have to have a good grasp of the specification and the bits that you need more knowledge of. There'll be some bits of this book which aren't useful. This isn't written for A-level students specifically. This book is helpful for A-level students and also helpful for people doing a degree in politics. So this constitutes wider reading, and wider reading is very good. What I found with it is absolutely full of really good examples. It was only written in 2022, so it's not incredibly old. And the information in it is really well written. It's straightforward to read, which I enjoy. And it goes through things in a slightly different way from the textbooks for A-level politics students. And so you get a slightly different, nuanced position. So for example, part 2 has 4 chapters in it, and part 2 is called Defining the Political World. It's got chapter 4, Ideology and the Liberal Tradition, written by Bill Jones. Well, this is interesting because we are living in a liberal democracy. Our system is defined in many ways by liberalism. You might find a question, a classic question in an exam might be about how liberal all of our main parties are. So liberalism is an important facet of our system, and you learn about liberalism. You obviously learn about the Liberal Democrats, but you should also be aware that we live in a liberal democracy. So we might not have a liberal party at the top of our political system, but that doesn't mean that liberalism doesn't matter. In many ways, our Liberal Party has been pushed into third by the other two parties taking on liberal ideas. And then it goes through political ideas, the major parties, political ideas, themes and fringes. And then there's a chapter all about how we went from Euroscepticism to Brexit, or really how the Conservative Party went from Euroscepticism to Brexit and took the country with them. The first part is context, so it talks about the changing world, the volatility of our politics. Then it gets into the representation process, talking about elites in the United Kingdom, elections and voting. And then it gets into the mass media and political communication, gender, pressure groups, political parties, devolution, all sorts of different things written in a different way from what you'll find in your textbook. Then it talks about the legislative process, changing constitution, the role of the crown. Don't get much of that, do we? In the specification. I think it's fascinating the way the monarchy is positioned in our constitution. The House of Commons at work, the House of Commons under pressure, the House of Lords, and every so often they'll have at the end of each part they've got and another thing where they have a guest writer writing about a particular thing. John Curtis, the polling expert with Who Votes Conservative. Then it talks about the executive process, the policy process, executive being Prime Minister and Cabinet, government departments, goes into local government. All of this is really good and presented in really nice, a nice way of a nice kind of style. Here's an example of and another thing. There's a whole essay on whether liberal democracy is doomed. See Donald Trump for more information. And then they have little boxes with extra bits of information in, little explainers on left and right, and so on and so forth. Lots of really good stuff. Labour's 2019 election manifesto, just there to help people. Obviously, it was published before the 2024 election. A little box on electoral systems and what different systems are available. This is brilliant, frankly. And if you work out that you need to read about a particular prime minister or a particular concept, chances are it's in that book somewhere. I was reading about the way in which different prime ministers handle their cabinets, and it was just fascinating. They all have the same power. The prime minister has the same power, no matter who the prime minister is. And yet some fare better than others. Some fail spectacularly. And the reasons why are numerous. We could pinpoint the size of a majority, for example. We could pinpoint their charisma or lack of, their personality. We could talk about how they handle the media, all sorts of different things. When it comes to cabinet meetings, they all have that same power. How to how to control things. How do they control things? And of course, it really does depend on all of those factors as to how they will manage their cabinets. And one of the things that the book goes into is how Margaret Thatcher would basically command her cabinet when she could by telling them what the government was doing, just telling them what the government was doing, and that was that. And then asking them to debate her if they disagreed with her. Tony Blair was so powerful. He had what's known as sofa government, where he was deciding things upstairs in the Downing Street flat with key advisors, and then going down to cabinet and kind of telling them what the situation was. Other prime ministers did not enjoy that luxury. Theresa May springs to mind. She had to try to keep her cabinet together, having lost her majority and having lost, therefore, her authority around that cabinet table. Very tricky, very different. The only thing that gets recorded at the cabinet meeting is what the Prime Minister has decided. So the Prime Minister either is that bullish person like Blair or Thatcher who is telling their cabinet what the best option is, or they are having to listen to their cabinet, and in the process they are perhaps having to agree with them rather than telling them. But that's what gets recorded, the only thing that gets recorded. And we might not know for decades later exactly what's been decided. Whatever disagreements are around the cabinet table, we might not know about at the time. So this book is absolutely jam-packed with information. I would recommend getting it to aid the UK part of your learning, and I would recommend teachers get it for the library if they haven't already. It will enhance studies for sure. And on that note, happy studying, and I'll see you next time.